You know what time it is. Welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. Ran Hurt, resident AP, plays mid and his styles are shady. Got a syndrome, can't nerf it. You can find him in the chat, type of worth it. And that's Hornet, stuck in ill hell. Thought it was going up, once again it fell. Never spent a single dime alone, and if you step into his jungle, expect a brawl. Auslander, math specialist, he's precise, doesn't tolerate estimates. The man's addicted by every hero, you can tell cause his bank account's stuck at zero. And last but not least, your host Pornophobia, picks an 80 carry, and he's on ya. He's got the full mount, ground and pound, don't get excited, it's not as sexy as it sounds. That's your whole team, enjoy the podcast, put your headphones on, we'll have a blast. We're checking email and Twitter of course, just don't ask us how four guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force Podcast. You'll listen to episode number 124. I'm your host, Adam Ponophobia Cogswell. You can guys see on this special podcast of the new year, 2014, that we are doing live podcasts. We're going to see how long we can go with doing these. It'll be...
What's our prediction?
I give it a
3 days.
Yeah.
So, as you guys see, we are live. You get to see all our pretty pictures, get to see our faces, and yeah. There's
Fans in their cars don't. Introduce us still.
Oh, right. There's a whole bunch of people here, isn't there? Oh, I'm not used to podcasting. It's been a while. I have to get back in the groove of this. So, Dom is here.
Hi. That was, yeah. Hi, guys.
Good timing.
Oh, Sean is here.
Hi.
And Robert.
Hello.
Hello. All right, guys, we have a bunch of news to roll down about this podcast in the new year. So first and foremost, the podcast awards were this last weekend, yesterday. We sat around. You can go find that video if you really care to see it. We did not win. I'll just get straight to the point. Yes, tier indeed. We did not win the podcast awards. Rooster Teeth Gaming Podcast did win that. So whatever, you guys didn't get out and vote for us.
Congratulations to them.
That's right. The only thing I don't like about Google Hangouts is it doesn't show my face when I talk, so I have to click my portrait. So now I got to be like aware. Anyway, so we did not win, but we appreciate you guys going and voting for us week to week or whatever, day to day, whatever it was that you guys did. But we are moving forward. We are very happy to be nominated. And with that said, you guys can still support us by going to tforcepodcast.spreadshirt.com and purchasing a t-shirt. There's a mug, there's a t-shirt, there's baby onesies, there's everything you guys would need with the T-Force logo on there. There's even one made by TB Skyen, the guy who does Caster Comics. And you can see me, I'm trying to do the thing on my chest here. That says podcast to your horse. So that is
Take
a
your
pun.
shirt off and show them.
No, I will not take my shirt off. But yes, you can go get the podcast to your horse t-shirt. They are all $20 with $4.50 standard shipping, so you'll get those in a couple of weeks. How did you get yours, DeClaude?
I don't know. Let's see. Whenever I posted it, I had got it the day prior. Actually, it was in the mail, and I didn't check the mail because I'm lazy. It's the MS for a day or so prior, and it was in there waiting for me. So it shipped USPS. My shirt and my wife's in the same package. I do not know how long it took. I'm sorry. Maybe about a week and a half.
That's not bad. For $4, you get there in a week. So yeah, that is tforcepodcast.spreadshirt.com. Other news, we are back to doing 2 podcasts a week. I know you guys enjoyed the fan podcast last week where we had the sing-off between DeClaude and
Punch.
In Korea. Korea, whatever it is.
Korea.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
That was fun.
Got there.
Go
And all of Korea sang against us, too. It was great.
You can spell it more ways than one.
Tomato, tomato.
You say tomato, I say shut the fuck up.
Well, I think that is... that's not all the news. Ha! We have one more news because of the new year. Fuck you.
Plus one news.
Plus, that's right. That's the new name for this segment. Plus one news. Don't forget to go rate us on iTunes. We are at 179 the last time I checked. As you guys noticed, we are NA, so I only check the NA store. Please go rate us on Stitcher as well. We are at just under 5 stars there, but we're happy with what we have. Please go rate us what you believe that we should have. With that said, I think we'll get into some league discussion. What do you guys think?
Sounds good to me.
That's right. So, A few weeks ago, we talked about Yasuo, and I'm not going to say I'm going to eat crow on him because I don't think he is all that amazing. But I'm
You're
going
gonna eat some
to.
crow.
What's that?
But you're gonna eat some crow.
I'm going to eat some crow, and it's going to taste delicious. So I'm going to take a sip of my beer.
I still haven't seen a good Yasuo in person yet.
I've seen a couple of them. So I think Yasuo isn't fantastic, but I don't think he's bad like we were saying before. After being able to play him a couple times and see him being played in the right hands, he can do very well, but you have to understand the limitations of the champion and understand how to combo him. He's a very high-skilled champion, high-skill cap champion, and I don't think there are enough people out there that are playing him at that level yet. And we've seen like Faker pick him up, and I think Insec had some sweet jukes on him, and I'm no Faker Insec level, but I've definitely been able to pull some shit off in the middle of a skirmish. But I'm still learning little bits about him each day I play. Like, I didn't realize that his Q, when it has 3 stacks and you are dashing between people, if you're in the middle of a dash and presses Q, it spins and will pop up more than one person. So
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that until yesterday.
So you played with it
You've
yourself?
been missing out, man.
I always thought it was just the tornado that flew forward, and then I found out it spins if you're in the middle while dashing, and I went, oh, well, that makes that a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
So have you guys played against Yasuo, and how do you guys think, have your opinions changed since 3 weeks ago?
I could definitely see him being good if the person playing him knows what they're doing and is really comfortable with the champion. But like I said before, I have yet to play against any Yasuo that has really given me any trouble at all. And I think it's funny because right when he came out, a ton of people played him. A lot of people kind of came to the consensus he wasn't that great, and he kind of fell off. And then, the video, like the 3 pentakills and again, other people picking him up and doing extremely well. He kind of had like a resurgence again of a bunch of people coming out and playing him again this week. Mm-hmm. But
his win rate's normalizing. It's at about 48%, which is way more in line with the rest of the
champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have said that he has a hard time laning, and it's kind of like an inside joke between Dom and Ty and I think we said that one time. But it's funny because if you're going against any AP champion, Yasuo just completely dumps on them. Like, he is like that Zed in the mid lane that is too slippery and just does too much damage once he gets in. But if you put Yasuo against any melee champion, including like Gangplank, he's gonna get dumpstered on. He just does not do very well against other melee champions because he's too squishy to be able to trade.
That might be part of my experience too, because anytime I played against him, I'm usually playing a bruiser. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I played it. Well, I mean, like I said, even Gangplank, I played against him as Gangplank, and I won that lane with hardly any of your interaction. I mean, you came up a couple times when I had jungler up there, but it was, for the most part, it was 1v1. I'm able to poke him down with parlay, and Gangplank isn't a champion that you're going to ever see play at LCS. So, just another example of like that melee champion I can get in. Because once Yasuo uses his combo, he's just too squishy and taking too much damage.
Right.
So, but Dom and I talked to Monte Cristo. You guys know him from OGN, and he had brought up a good idea of a combination that you could play with Yasuo, and that's like Alistar, Nidalee, Yasuo, for example. And I think you'll fit. And I like this comp, these 3 characters, because if you can fit him into a poke comp or a pseudo poke comp, no one can ever engage on you. Because you have Alistar or another champion like Cho'Gath or someone that can pop up instantly, and Malphite, yeah, you cannot be engaged on, because as soon as you're engaged on, you're knocked up, and you don't have to engage on them because you just have to push them off the tower with a wind wall and the spears and whatever it may be. And now he's just there as your insurance policy.
Well, that was always the thing that I thought was really interesting about Yasuo. He has much more synergy with other champions than we've really seen out of anything Riot's released in the past. Like, the only one I can think of with the same like type of interaction is Cassiopeia with Singed or Teemo, because of the way her abilities work with poison, and they apply the same type of poison. Other than that, like, I can't really think of another one. I feel like there are some missed opportunities or opportunities they could go back and work on with like some of the Freljord champions like Anivia and Ashe, Anivia, Lissandra, Nunu, throw him in there. There are a lot of some cool interactions that could go on there, but there really haven't been these types of interactions available to us, and that's what really intrigues me about Yasuo, and like truthfully makes what we could see at LCS level play, really, really exciting.
Right. I hope that we see in the LCS because he should be available in 2 weeks when the LCS comes back, or I guess it's a week and a half now, isn't it? He should be available to play, so I'm really excited for some of those teams to pick him up. I have a feeling that we'll probably first see him out of someone like Curse, because we know Voyboy likes to play those unconventional champions, and we're not sure how well he can play right now. Champions like Syndra or Ziggs or Nidalee, I haven't seen him playing those champions much, so I feel like we will see him out of those unconventional picks.
I would not be surprised if Bjergsen picked him up.
Yes. Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me either. Actually,
he just seems like Bjergsen's type of champion.
Does Xpecial play someone like Alistar?
Yeah, Xpecial played Alistar like way back in the day. He loved Alistar.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah. I would be surprised if High or ManCloud picked him up. Not that they would be incapable, but they tend to they have their favorite champs, and then they tend to wait a little bit on picking up like whatever the new meta or like the unconventional picks are. They stay towards like the strong stuff in the meta.
Right. Well, we did talk about how Yasuo, he gains 50% armor penetration after he's used his ultimate, so he could definitely be a good counter to Mundo, Shyvana, Olaf, all those top lane champions that we see that are super tanky, because he can pick up, he'll pick up a group, whatever he may pick up, destroy the enemy AD carry, AP mid, and then he could definitely jump on that off tank or that tank and rip it apart. And then what does Mundo do? Mundo is just running around the back lines, and suddenly he has no team to support him. And
and he's squishy, he just has health.
Yeah. So, I think you will see Yasuo being played in the pro play, but
that and the easy 100% crit.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you guys don't know, Yasuo doubles his crit chance with a static shiv and an eye edge plus 5% crit from runes. You have 100% crit. 2 items plus 5% crit from runes.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah, and you start the game with 10% crit with that. So right now, people are running 4% crit marks and 1% crit seal, if I remember correctly. So that gives you 5. 10 to start out with. I actually need to fix OBS here.
Listeners are typing in chat CLG. I suppose Link. I could see Link picking him up.
You could Link?
He tends to play some weird champions. Like he was playing Syndra before anybody got hip to her.
Right. We saw a lot of the Europeans playing Syndra though, so I wonder if he was picking up Syndra around the time or just after the time the Europeans started picking her up.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So let's move on from the Yasuo discussion. So we'll have to see how he's played. When the LCS starts rolling here in the next couple of weeks and we see Yasuo played or we see any of those champions played, we're going to have a segment on the podcast where we talk about some of that. And it'll be especially important because GG Chronicle, I know we've talked about the relaunch coming, but GG Chronicle is going to start doing match reviews of the LCS games, and that'll help us as well talk about it on the podcast because we'll be able to read those match reviews in case we don't catch them, and we can talk about that. So kind of foreshadowing a bit there. So anything else that's happened over the holidays, guys, that we need to talk about before we move into listener questions?
No. I don't think so. It's sort of been really quiet on the game development front.
Yeah.
We're waiting on patch 3.15, but I don't think there's anything worth jumping into until we have really good concrete notes on that.
Right. No. Okay, so let's jump into some listener questions. So you guys sitting out there right now watching us live or listening at home, which most of you probably are, you guys can email us, feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com. You guys have filled our mailbag after we made the call out there. Give us questions.
Why did we do that? What were we thinking?
Yeah, right? Yeah, you really filled the mailbag. I should just bring this up and show it to you guys.
There are a lot of good questions, too.
Yes. Well, this first one, we were talking before the show started, and
We're gonna do this one.
we're gonna do this one.
Okay.
Dom, you're right. This is totally a loaded question.
Oh man.
Okay, so Credible Mushroom writes, it's hard not to notice the LCS is all dudes. Is it an official thing from Riot that LCS is men's only? Doesn't it make sense for esports? And I know there are some pro-level female players streaming at least. Oh, it doesn't make sense for an esport. And I know there are some pro-level female players streaming at least. Why are we not seeing League of Ladies?
It's first and foremost, Riot did not declare LCS to be men's only. That would be utterly insane. Never mind all the legal ramifications involved. That would make no sense at all. It is absolutely in Riot's best interest to encourage females to play. Now, whether or not, I mean, the reality is there just haven't been teams that included female players that were, eligible to qualify for LCS. That's not Riot's fault.
Yeah.
They laid out very strict rules on how ladder locks were going down. They set up different tournaments where teams could qualify, and there were different qualification processes just to even get to those tournaments. At no point did Riot actively encourage or discourage women from participating in that. That's really out of their hands. That said, within most gaming communities, women tend to have a harder time succeeding, or at the very least being taken seriously due to a lot of kind of sexist, predispositions I really disagree with, but it doesn't behoove me to pretend they're not there. They absolutely exist. I mean, women tend to have a really hard time succeeding because they will just get a lot of people who go in and trash talk them because they're women, or only watch the stream because they want to see, a woman wearing something seductive and play games and everything.
Sure.
These are things that affect it. Are there women, are there seriously capable women gamers out there? Absolutely. League just hasn't had the group, League doesn't have the group doing that right now. Why that is exactly, I can't say. I'm not a woman.
Well,
I'm not an expert on any of this.
Weren't you talking to me this week about a lady alternate that one team had to play Ashe a while ago?
I want to say it was at IPL 4 or something. One of the tournaments where they had a lot of international stuff. One of the teams had a female sub player who was a support, and she was specifically known for playing support Ashe, and they brought her along with the team for the tournament in case they wanted to run that comp. Ultimately didn't end up running that comp, and so she didn't end up playing, but I do recall the casters making a bit of dialogue about that because that was really interesting to them, and I thought it was too. I'm a support player, so I'd have liked to see support Ashe get played, and then frankly just seeing a woman player there would have been a big deal. It would have been really cool.
I think it's sheerly numbers. I think just more males play League of Legends than females right now, so
yeah, I don't know that. I know that the number of gamers between genders is actually a lot closer than people think. I want the last thing I saw I think suggested it was 48% women.
Okay.
I'm it'd be outdated information at this point anyway.
Gamers in general.
What?
League of Legends gamers or gamers in general?
Gamers in general. I've never seen any of Riot's census data like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's a lot closer than people think. And, what the number I quoted is certainly dated at this point, and I'm not sure how accurate that was. But I recall at the time thinking it was a lot closer than I would have guessed had somebody asked me candidly.
I don't think we are ever going to see a full woman league team, and I think you're setting yourself up for failure if you... Not if you put a team like that together, but having a full woman team, one is opened yourself up for scrutiny by the entire community. We saw what Team Siren did. They put out this giant.
I've been thinking that the entire time.
Yeah, but I mean, the flip side is they really should have been encouraged, and a lot of people just got on their case and started giving them hell for that. I mean,
right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Their inner turmoil aside, which is reportedly what caused that team to collapse, they didn't get a lot of positive response from the community, and that tends to be a problem all female gamers have. It's not just League.
Right.
Well, isn't it pretty much the same way with like baseball or football or whatever it may be? Like we've seen females go out and try out, and I'm not saying that the females with gaming. I think that is a better chance for females in gaming to get at the esports or high athletic level. But that's kind of like what they've faced in the past. So more people are going to look at past experience of females in regular sports and see how they stack up against males. And for the most part, they don't. I mean, who watches WNBA because the scores are like 50 to 45? But I think esports actually is this frontier where the women can come in and they can prove that they are as good as the men. They are as analytical. They have as many APMs. We've seen she plays StarCraft all the time and she streams. Somebody in chat.
Miss Violence? I don't know. There's a lot of. There's actually quite a few.
Yeah, you can see that like esports is this open, like I said, frontier where these women can come in and play. I just don't think we're ever going to see a full women team come in and start taking over. However, the more teams we see, like SKT1, that took 3 solo queue players, that could totally happen again in season 4 or 5, where we get 3 solo queue women and 2 men that all can play on the same team and play at a competitive level.
Yeah, I mean, I know there definitely is a league, a female league players community out there. Iwinia's like rebooting League of Girls for 2014. I don't know how much is taken off at this point, but like I saw her talking about it again on Twitter, which is good. Like that's a really good thing. Good for them. That's a place where like women can get together and try to make these teams if they want to go with a full group of 5 women. I do agree with the sentiment that there's no reason that it has to be a group of women. I really would, I would love to see a group that was 3 women, 2 men. I mean, 4 men and 1 woman, like that would still be pretty novel given the way esports has been for the majority, and certainly League. So however any of that breaks down, I think that would be really good for the scene, for the community, like for women, but it's certainly not in my hands.
Right.
Aside from, encouraging development of that type of player, but that's everybody.
Well, I think we'll have to see how it pans out in the future. I do hope that we see more women in the ranks of the professional players. I'm actually curious of how many diamond, like a diamond 1, or if there's any challengers that are actually women. I wonder if there's a way to obtain that statistics, maybe with the new API that's coming out, or I don't know. I guess you'd actually have to run some kind of survey. So we'll see. Hopefully somebody does something like that in the future. But we're going to move on to the next question. And these are just general league questions. And we'll start right from the top of the mailbag. You guys ready?
Go for it.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. All right, if Riot came to you all and said you could each make a change to the game, what would it be?
Poppy's passive.
Wow, that was the quickest answer.
Nice. Yeah, that is a frustrating passive.
Oh my God,
I can get her. I'm just going to dive the turret and kill her. One more hit.
Poppy's ultimate.
Not even that.
No, I would just remove Poppy from the game altogether.
Wow.
No, I like what she does. I think there are some elements about her that need to be adjusted a bit, but like her passive.
For me, I would take the option to surrender out. Completely.
Wow. Really?
Yep. You're stuck in the game. You want to queue, you deal with it. You want to play our game, play our game. I don't care how butthurt you get.
I'm not a fan of that, but I get where you're coming from.
And then all the tryhards came out to play. I can dig that change.
I
don't like surrender.
If I had to make a change, it would be that I'm allowed to surrender if it's 4v5 for X amount of time. But
I've won 4v5s.
Oh yeah, I mean.
Well, somebody had talked about on Reddit that if it turns into a 4v5, it'd be kind of a cool idea if the enemy team could basically the team that has the 5 could vote to see basically a mercy vote, and then based on the mercy vote, the team of 4 can decide whether they want to keep playing or not. That'd be kind of interesting.
I would just like it that if it's in the first 5 minutes, if somebody is disconnected and it's not a duo queue partner, for example, like if there's people duo queued in the game, I don't know. I know it's hard to police with that because somebody could just dodge if they think they're going against a bad matchup, but something along the lines where if it's the first 5 minutes, I can get a loss forgiven if there's a legitimate DC. I understand it's hard to police, but that's just, that really grinds my gears.
Right.
Or give like a disconnect queue for people so they can queue up as backups. And when someone disconnects, it grabs one of them and throws them in there to take over that champion.
That'd be crazy.
I'd like to see how the logistics would work for that, but I would have fun doing that.
By the way, it's 30 minutes in the game. You're Nasus. You only have 20 farm, and you're in the jungle. Good luck.
Have fun.
Sean?
Okay. Mine is like from a making money point of view. If Riot wanted to make some extra cash, they could implement like change in particles that you could buy, like skins. So you get like
I
a
would
skin.
absolutely. I would spend all kinds of money on that. I already know I would spend money on that.
Don't spend any money on this game, and I would so spend money on that game for that. I mean, who wouldn't want to run around as like Jarvan shooting out fire every time he went and comboed? Like, that'd be awesome.
God, that would ruin so many low
Yep,
level
that
players.
would. I would just like open up my bank account, have all my paychecks just go straight to Riot. 'Cause
Are you drinking Flying Dog?
Yes, sir.
Or Snake Dog? Yeah. Is it bad that I can recognize the bottle by him and a grainy camera by him pulling
Dude,
it out of his mouth?
the best part is like the Kroger by
Little
my
bit.
house sells it for $10. So you can like pick your own 6-pack and
Oh, yeah.
instead of buying the 6-pack for $12 at any convenience store around here. But
Thanks, Dom. Thanks for that. He told me it's sad that I can pick out the beer. All right, let's move on to the next question here.
I try all beer at bars, and so it always comes from a tap, and I'm not actually looking at the bottle. So I know
he might
almost
think it's
no
sad.
names.
I'm proud of you. So
Oh, thanks, buddy. I thought I had a
Yeah.
bottle here near me.
I was impressed.
I'm drinking Bell's Winter White Ale. I need to go get another one, but I figured why not? It's -2 outside, which Dom says is.
that negative 20-degree wind chill.
Dom has shorts on right now. He'd stand up and show us his nice white legs, right, buddy? All right, next question.
I'm wearing like 3 pairs of pants, man. It's cold as shit here.
There are now 4 champions who have global linear alts, and they're all ADC/marksman: Ashe, Ezreal, Draven, and Jinx. Why do you think this role in particular works with that type of skill?
It's a missile-based thing, and it just works really well with champions that are using that type of armament.
It doesn't really make sense to put it on a fighter, because a fighter is up in your face, so there's no reason to have a fighter toss out, again, like Dom said, a missile.
I mean, some mages could have that ability, but I mean, like Ziggs has a very similar type idea going on. It's just not full,
Well,
the entire map.
look at it too. Ashe has a bow. She shoots a big arrow. Jinx has a frickin' rocket launcher. She shoots a big rocket. You're not gonna have Darius throw his axe from one end of the map to the other.
I don't think that's what our listener was getting at. I think the question was why aren't there like
aren't
mages?
there more shots on like that?
Why don't like some mages have that type of ability? Logically there isn't a good reason for it aside from the idea. The thought that you would probably have to put a lot of power into that ability, and so the other spells on that champion would be considerably weaker as a result.
Well,
just really think about Ashe, where like her ult is clearly the most powerful part of her kit.
Mm-hmm.
She
Right.
has 1 damage ability outside of that, and then 2 abilities, like one that is it's a slow, and that's great, and then one that is a scouting tool. Like she only
Right.
has 2 really damage heavy elements in her kit. Now try to imagine that same thing going on with a mage. It would be very, very difficult for that champion to succeed, at least in the way the game is played now.
Well, you have to consider champions like Ezreal, who can be played as ability power or AD, but his kit is
And they've nerfed his AP ratios considerably since release because of that.
Sure, and
Well-
because of that reason, you have to look at how all these kits work and what they are, what they bring to the table and why they have that ultimate. Draven, for example, only has one ability that does damage. The other one speeds him up, and the other one's displacement. So now his last one is also an ability that allows damage. What kind of ultimate are you going to give Draven that has to do with axes besides throwing them. I mean, maybe he'd get 2 giant ones that he swings in front of him, but that would be, that takes away from him being a melee.
And here's
carry.
a piece of it too, with bot lane for the most part, bot lane support tend to stay in lane for a pretty long time. If they have a cross map ult, a global ult that they can use, and they're going to ult top lane, the amount of time it takes for that missile to go from bottom lane to top lane would be much different than somebody in mid lane being able to globally ult anybody. If a mage in mid lane has an ult like that, they're probably more likely to hit it since there's less time in between the travel time.
That argument doesn't exactly hold up because A, the game is not not strictly designed to be played the way it's ended up being.
Right.
But B, there was a time when marksmen were the mid laners. You always said your marksman did, and so that's
right.
I mean, it did make the ability stronger, but I don't think Riot strictly takes that into consideration when deciding whether or not a champion should have a global ultimate.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what Sean was originally saying. She has a bow, she shoots an arrow. It'd be kind of cool to shoot her across the map.
I think it character thematically wise, it just doesn't make sense for them to have. I mean, unless you have somebody shooting a fireball or something.
I mean, we could totally see a mage have some kind of linear ult. Right now, Ziggs isn't linear because he throws a bomb. So what's a bomb going to do? It's going to make a circle and be a giant radius to attack in. Ziggs being the only other one I can think of out of the mid that has a global ultimate. So
Karthus.
Karthus.
I was thinking a reticule ultimate.
Right, rather than aiming.
Yeah.
That skill shot ult.
To me, it's really a case of power distribution. Most of the 80 carries that have this type of ability don't have a lot of really impactful abilities. They're really all just about the sustained damage, which is the job of the role. And so giving them that kind of real feel-good ability, something that you can really have a high impact, or can you can snipe an enemy from a long range,
you're executing someone. Yeah.
It really adds a little bit to the champion to take them from playable to this is fun. And other roles don't really suffer from that same type of disparity, I guess, in their kits. Most supports are really involved in what they can and can't.
Yeah, I think it boils down to it's flashy, and marksmen are flashy. That's thematically it fits.
Dom, talk for me for a second. We lost you. Join and rejoin, or leave and rejoin.
Yeah, we lost your audio. But yeah, I think we're overanalyzing that question a little bit.
It's a hard question.
We got
to
some
answer.
good answers.
I mean, it really is a hard question to answer because, like you said, we're overanalyzing it to the point where it just fits into the character's theme. So
I think that when it comes down to it, it's just it doesn't make sense for the character to have a cross map ult if they don't have the ability to actually thematically launch a projectile like that.
Right.
See, all right, I'm gonna move on to the next question here by Sebaster. I was wondering if you guys.
Dom has himself muted.
Yeah,
I can see it on his.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh, nope, still can't hear you.
We might have to do something crazy with this. I'm gonna mark this for the 3340 Dom DCs. So this is more or less why we never do live shows, because if something screwy happens, I get to cut it out. So while we take a moment here, we're gonna wait for Dom to jump back in. We might just have to start up like a Skype call and everyone mutes something on Hangouts, and then we use tons of bandwidth.
Yeah.
God, what I've always wanted to do is use up all my bandwidth.
Why is his name not showing up? I typed Dom in.
Maybe he's rebooting. Nope, there he is.
You're muted again, Dom.
It defaults
there
to
you
mute.
are.
It defaults
There you
to
go.
mute when you join in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's my Audacity also stopped recording.
Do you have the file?
Yeah, I can pick up now. I have the timestamp and everything. It just I don't know what's going on with this.
Okay. Well, tell me.
It's all screwy.
I would export the file you have now and start up a new one, and I'll edit it in.
You can splice it.
Can I All right.
That's gonna be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, if you
it's
go to
fine.
File New, it'll create a new window, and you can keep the other one in the background.
Audacity crashed. I don't have the. Never mind.
So the one day that I talk about I don't want to screw up podcast, it gets screwed up when we're doing it live.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's because you've complained so many times about this exact reason why we don't do that.
I might just pay for Skype Premium and just use Skype Premium every month, honestly.
That's good.
Because I know that works.
Yeah, because this has been. I mean, this gave me trouble yesterday too. I don't know what the deal is with Google.
I'm just gonna pay for Skype Premium and we'll just use that from now on.
Fancy pants.
Sorry, guys, who's watching live. We're just trying to get this set back up. We got to get a recording going again for the podcast. So just waiting on Dom. Dom, do you have that original file?
Yep.
Okay, and you have it recording again?
Yep.
Stop it and kill it and redo it. 'Cause I'm gonna type in the time.
Okay.
All right, on click. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1, click.
There we go.
Okay, 30.
Sorry about that.
36:06. Dom comes back.
This is why we normally don't do live, guys. You take the bad with the even worse.
All right, guys.
I'm not even gonna say anything.
That's right. Actually, from the future, I'm gonna start using Skype. That way, I can have the backup with call graph and everything again. So, but I do have this backup just in case something screws up. But we are gonna move on to the next question here. We have a listener who wrote in. His name is Sebastian. He says, I was wondering if you guys all stayed with the basic default key binding or if you made some change or if you think pros use the basic default or some using different key bindings. That was really hard to read. I actually know, I know for a fact that Link does not use the basic key bindings. He has posted his key bindings before and he uses some really fucked up, funny key bindings. It's like F, G, H, and J or something for his home row, and then like N and M. I don't know. He does something really stupid, and it might not even be that.
I've seen people have like weird like sideways hand key binding setups, and I don't know.
It actually makes quite a bit of sense. I get why he would do that.
Yeah, he does something in the middle, something like that. I think he uses like 4 to 7. I don't know. He's posted his key bindings before. Anyway, I don't use anything funny. The only thing I use is smart casting and then normal casting on shift.
Yep.
The bindings, I don't even use smart casting, but I did bind the /laugh command to my mouse button 4 on the side of my mouse, so I could spam it. And the
Professional asshole.
/joke on the other one, and the /dance on pushing the mouse wheel down, but nothing important.
Nothing important. That sounds important to me.
Yep. But that's it. I like the default setup.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It was weird. Honestly, it was weird the very first time I started playing this game that QWER was it, because I was so used to, I had just gotten done playing World of Warcraft, where it was WASD all the time. And then I'd use like Q, ERF, everything all around it. So using just one row for my keys was weird, but now it's second nature. But thinking about it feels weird.
I went from Warcraft 3 where it was just a random based on what letter it was in the ability.
Oh yeah.
Then playing Dota,
I was really obnoxious.
QWER, and QWER was like the greatest thing ever compared to that.
I love that though. It would be like L for leap or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not near anything what I'm doing.
Yeah, it makes it easy because I just keep my hand on home row. I feel the little nub sticking out of the F key, so I don't even have to look at it. I know where I'm at, and then I instinctively know where the other ones are. So if I lose my position on a particularly good day where my hand's not going numb, then I gotta look.
Now that we're doing it live, everyone's gonna be like, "Can we see your hand? Can we see your hand?" I want you to pull out like this. I want you to like paint it red, like a claw, or like hold it up to.
Add some effects to make it glow like E.T.'s finger.
Oh my god.
All right. Thanks, Master, for running it. Zach, you're up next. Zach, you read in. What are your thoughts on taking red, blue buff, depending on your side, and going immediately across the river to wait for the other jungler to steal their buff and kill them for an early counter jungle, or farming your own jungle? Yeah, if you guys aren't watching this live, you guys are totally missing out on a lot of good stuff. So I'm going to let Sean answer that question while I grab a beer.
All right, so pros and cons. if actually Trick2G just had a video of one of his subs doing exactly that, taking their blue buff on one side and then going to red and ganking at red, playing Udyr. That is actually a really good strategy if you are playing a jungler that can just dominate. That can dominate somebody else 1v1 in their jungle. It's really good on Udyr. Can work on Elise.
Skarner?
You can do it on Skarner. After the rework, that remains to be seen. I figure he'd be able to do it better now since he basically gets the attack speed from his Q. But Lee Sin can do it. Anybody that can basically kill somebody in 4 or 5 seconds, or has a gap closer to kill them after they flash, can do extremely well just taking their buff, going to the enemy jungle, and crushing them right there. It also helps if you can get your support to maybe preemptive ward that area, or if you can go and preemptive ward that area. The funny thing is, playing with Dom, whenever you play a game with him, he's automatically, if you're starting blue, he's warding your red, which is nice. And if your support does something like that, it can save your ass more times than you can even count.
Well, I start 2 wards. Apparently, most supports are not doing that.
I start 1, so
I start 1 plus
I start
trinket.
2 wards and yellow trinket, so
Yeah,
that's why I can do it.
I did too.
I don't need a potion. Big fucking deal.
But no, I mean taking your 1 buff and then going and invading and trying to kill them at that second buff, especially if they're not paying attention. What I usually do after I take one of my buffs and I go to the next buff, I'll actually run over the bush. If I take blue on top side, I'll run over to the bush at red, that bush, and if they're not in there, I'll just hit red and drag the red into the bush. That way, if they come around the corner, I can get the hell out of there. And that's like a safe way to clear the camp without worrying about getting ganked or getting crushed as soon as you start. But if it's warded, you don't have to worry about that. And if they have it warded, they'll just smite it anyway. But yeah, it can definitely be really effective.
Well, bring this into he has a follow-up question where the pros cons of counter jungling early. Also, who would be best a strong early game jungler? So I think this all goes in the same.
You shouldn't even be trying to do anything like that unless you're playing like a hyper aggressive early game jungler. Like Udyr just screams
Evelyn,
go into the jungle and kill them.
Shaco, Evelyn.
Shaco is really good. Evelyn can do it, especially because Evelyn's so hard to deal with because you can't just ward up and be like, I'm safe.
Does Vi and J4 work pretty well?
Vi can do it very well. J4, typically, if you can actually get a gank off with J4, they're not getting away. So you can just go gank lanes as J4. You can go in and do it. His early game damage is way better than if you were to try to do it at like 6 through 9. But
just backing up a second, just to touch on a different point, like the big cons are really that you're going into enemy territory and there's a decent chance they have some or a lot of it warded,
right?
Which means you very well could be exposing yourself and you're in enemy territory where they can get to you faster than your teammates can get to you. Like, and your teammates usually have to react to that. Like they're not necessarily going to know where the opponent went, whereas the opponent is going to be coordinating their effort on you.
And if you can't see their laners, you shouldn't go in and do it because they're probably going to kill you.
Right. I think if you're going to be counter jungling, it should be early, and it should be when you know where the wards are at. Right as it stands, when this game starts for the first, we'll say 5 minutes of the game, you more than less know where the wards are going to be at. Anywhere up into Diamond 5 in solo queue, you know where they're going to place their initial wards, unless you're playing against someone like Dom, who is that guy who wards
just a pain in the ass.
Right. But you know, Dom, honestly, Dom, you're 1 in 100 people. I hardly see anybody ever.
I don't know why, because like we get first blood because of that, like 40% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
We just. There are a lot of people who think they can safely go into the enemy jungle and take red, and I always have a ward there, and the top and mid can collapse on that real fast. So suddenly you have 3 people going up against the jungler who thinks he's just counter jungling red, all willy-nilly.
And if you're counter jungling, never think you're safe. Keep an eye on the map like a hawk and say, "Oh shit, they just disappeared. They know I'm here." And then
whether
get the hell
or
out.
not somebody who is counter jungling is going to be successful is completely based on how the enemy team reacts. Because if their laners aren't reactive to the fact that there's a jungler attacking their jungler in the jungle, you have if they don't react, pretty good chance that you're gonna kill them.
Yeah, and if
yeah,
you're
Or at least scare them off and take their stuff.
That's if the opponent you're fighting is good prey for that. Like
Right.
for example, you're Udyr, and they
have
have
an Amumu,
an Amumu.
or somebody
Exactly.
slow.
You know he's going to have to be on the blue to start pretty much, or a Sejuani, and you're going to be able to walk all over him unless he gets help.
Right.
So
Well, that's something that you have to bring up for any of the guys that are laning out there. You have to pay attention to what's going on. I've had it a number of times playing ranked fives where there's been a ping over at red because there was an early ward or someone got caught there, and the two laners have collapsed and able to do either single or double kill because of it. So if you're playing those outside lanes, map awareness plays a huge part in stopping counter jungling, and you're also your ward placements. If you're in mid lane, you don't necessarily need your ward in either the side bushes. Putting it up by race or back around by the banana bush can stop a counter jungle.
The area formerly known as Banana Brush.
Yeah, right.
As much as it's the jungler's job to help snowball lanes and whatnot, it is laner's job to make sure that the jungler is safe.
It's true. A lot of people don't
I agree with
understand that. A lot of people really think the jungler's just on his or her own, and
Right.
like if they die, it's like, oh, bad jungler. It's like, well, no, you're supposed to be helping him out.
yeah, I've had a jungler ping that an enemy jungler was in there attacking him, and I've been like, okay, just one more hit to kill this cannon
Right.
minion, then I'll go help, and then he's dead. So
It's hard. It is hard to give him that
temptations
CS.
like that you got to break. Yeah, you got to give up that CS and just beat feet, help him out.
So it's funny. The other day, I finally broke my habit of waiting for that last CS, and it helped us win a game. Because I left a lane that had 3 CS thing there to go help, and it netted a kill or net a kill. So I went, yeah, I'm finally learning something.
We're cracking your armor at him.
Yeah.
Quick touching on the ward placement thing. As far as early wards go, it definitely helps to set up your own custom item set so that you can buy items right out of the gate. Like my goal is always to be the first one out of the fountain, and I try to be just out on the map getting my ward down right away so that I can place it and then meet up with the team for whatever else they're going to be doing. I really hate it if I have to run all the way across and then try and catch up and something happens and I'm not there. Like it's those little types of things that end up being really
They
big
make a huge
factors in your
difference.
ability to in your development.
You know, it'd be really cool if in Champ Select, after the champions are selected and it's counting down the last 30 seconds or whatever, it shows you previews of your item sets that you can just check. So when you load, you come equipped with them, and then you can just run to your lane.
That
Or you
would
don't
be
check
really
one, and
nice.
you don't have to, but
That would be really nice. I would also love to see skin ward selection since we're creating a wish list now.
Yeah, right? What thing would you change about the game? Fuck removing surrender. We want to be able to change our item sets.
no, I'm sticking to surrender.
Well, but I do like that you can set the item sets to be specific to champions.
Champions, yeah.
And so I go through and pretty much all supports I could or I do play or am likely to play in that role. I have it set to just support by default. Of course, it's terrible if I go to play Karma mid lane or something for some reason, and then I'm looking at all the support items like, okay, this is useless to me.
Man, I haven't used custom item sets ever. I do everything from
Try
the
it. Try it out. It's really cool. It takes a lot of time to do it and do it correctly, but
Yeah, it does.
once you have it set up and ready to go, and you really put in the effort, it's really nice, and you end up being a lot faster in all the time you spend in base.
I used it in the beginning when it first came out, and it was shiny and new, and then I just got lazy. I didn't want to set them up for everybody.
It's going to be hard for me to break that habit because I go to all, I know exactly where everything's at, just right click real fast, pop, 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 and I'm out of base. I mean, I'm hardly ever the last person out of base, and if I am, I'm playing Annie or I'm AFK during champs or load. So we'll see. I should probably go make a couple of them for people like Shyvana or Olaf or somebody.
To a degree, I like it just to have.
It makes it better.
I like to have it just for certain items in the list that I might not have thought to buy in a snap decision, but then when I can glance and just see that item right there, it's like, oh yeah, that is the item I need right now. I found that surprisingly helpful for me.
I can understand that. There's been a number of times where I'm like, I don't know what to build right now, and then I'll build the incorrect item. Like, I'm really happy the other day. I built Thornmail as I think a third item the other day, and I was very happy with that decision because they were a full AD team with a Kha'Zix who had 8 kills, and Kha'Zix couldn't kill me because he killed himself because of Thornmail. and you know that just happened to be the
Pretty good. Pretty move.
the purchase.
Pretty good.
But that's not an item I build all the time, so maybe putting that custom item set might help. I'll check them out. I will take your word for it, Dom.
I think it is helpful. Like I'll go these back alley ways to get an item. You know, if it's not in the standard recommended list, let's say Sunfire Cape is, but Randuin's is not. I'll click Sunfire, click the Giant Spell, and that'll show the little Randuin's. Then I'll click.
I do the same thing. It's like if I think of the item, I have to think about the build path just to get where I want to be.
Yep. So I can see where it helps.
All right, let's answer one more question before I get into spamming you guys with some more information at the end of this podcast, because I want to make sure everybody knows about what's going to be happening from weeks forward. So Finn Clover writes, with supports getting more gold now, what are your thoughts on some supports who ran AD or are manaless? I was mostly thinking Riven, who could have that knock-up stun, making it easier to set up ganks, but be a bigger threat late game than current supports.
I don't think she's going to get the type of gold that she needs to really contribute.
She needs to snowball.
And support itemization does not encourage like Riven specifically, because it's still all about. There's a lot of mana regen in support items, and then the one exception would be the runic shield, which puts her at a lot of risk to get the farm, and then that item is super difficult to use at the end, like super difficult to get money with at the end of the game.
Well, there's no reason to pick Riven over Leona, per se. I mean, Leona does everything that you would want out of Riven better, and provides more damage to the team,
is less likely to die in the early game.
Right.
If
and the damage you're adding to the team with Sunlight, it makes is probably I would guess that you do more damage, especially late game. You'll do more damage with Sunlight procs. Not you per se, but like your people who are doing the attacking will do more damage with the Sunlight procs, and you will because you will not be alive long enough as a Riven who is underfarmed.
You put bigger threat late game than current supports. I think the control that current supports offer makes them a much bigger threat. They're able to peel or initiate or control the team fights, and that's where they shine, is in team fights. So
now, it's funny because a different listener did mention Zach, and I've really been thinking about it. I'm like, I can't think of a good reason why that wouldn't work unless his harassing, like the health cost and his abilities is far greater than I really think. Like it's going to take a far greater toll than I am anticipating.
I think,
but
I think
he could even. Like, it would suck to have the wasted stats, but I think he could even run with the Talisman of Ascension. Sorry, it sucks to have the wasted mana regen, but it gives a lot of health regen. And Zach, of all champions like that, he's going to get a lot out of Talisman of the Talisman active.
I think if you're going to do someone like that, I think Malphite is the better choice because he has an instant ultimate that goes into the team. Like, Zach has to set up with his slingshot to get into the team to use his ultimate.
Sure, this question was specifically about manaless, so.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Zach, it ruined correctly. He could start with like 22 AP, and then you have Dorn Shield. You do a decent amount of damage, but it's damage over time. He takes a lot longer to get that ramped up. So, I think
it's going to be a lot harder to get to your blobs with 2 people being able to step on them as well. Yeah. So if you do use any abilities,
but it's also a lot riskier to go and try to counterplay against those blobs because if you go to step on them, you're going to take marksman harassment at the very least.
True, that's a good point.
Are you though? Because they do fly right at the person.
But they're still gonna somebody's still gonna have to walk up, and I guarantee you a marksman can get.
Okay. Let me counter that though. But if somebody doesn't have to walk up, because that can sit there. If you're gonna walk up, you are now setting yourself up to be out of position to gain extra life.
If you're gonna get into Q range, I guarantee you eat at least 2 to 3 auto attacks just getting your Q off and backing up. That's not even talking about trying to get to your blob to make the health cost break even,
Adam, have you played much Zach on the current Masteries?
Yeah, I played him the Sunday, yes.
Second win?
Yeah, do those masteries end up really helping him out a lot? And
So
like,
you don't
is
notice
the
second
blob?
win because you're
Only
not.
if you
So the,
step
so
in
the
blob.
blob counterplay isn't that, but just all the health regen that's available. There's a ton
No,
of health
yeah,
regen available
I think
now.
he's fine in the top lane. I think you
So
just.
does he really like? Is the blob counterplay even as big of a deal anymore? Was my question.
Early, yes.
It is early before you get items that help you get all your health back.
Not necessarily that. It is before you get more life. Because when you get more life, it doesn't matter if you're losing that extra amount of life because you can
Get
gain
a
it back.
pretty decent chunk.
You can afford to lose 25 or 30% of your life when you have that extra 300 400 life.
So with him, you could do runic shields or in face of the mountain still, because you're going to get life and health regen from that.
Right.
You could.
I mean, we're arguing in favor, or I'm arguing in favor of Zach just for the sake of. Having never tried it, I don't know exactly how successful it would be, and ultimately the end question ends up being like, is there still a situation you would want to take Zach over Leona? And I can't think of a good one.
No,
No.
not with the way she is right now.
But that's not really a fair way to compare, because then we're just saying like, oh no, just pick her. Why would you do that? Because Leona's OP. It's like, no, we should try to at least make a case to see if this could work.
Take it to the Rift.
Out of all the other champions that are manaless, I could see Zach working the best because he has CC, he has a slow. If he dies, he has a chance to come back to life, and he just has displacement.
Yeah. I mean, he allows a lot of stupid shit to get pulled.
So
I'm not saying it's ideal, but like as sort of a niche pick.
Right.
What about Shen?
I've wanted to do support Shen for a really long time.
Give your ADC a little bit of heal.
I really just haven't gotten around to trying it yet.
You know what? If you're gonna play Shen, honestly, I would rather play Nunu. I mean, I know they're not doing the same thing by shielding, but I would just rather, if I'm gonna have a passive support, because Shen's gonna be fairly passive until he goes into the taunt. I would rather have Nunu just to have the attack speed.
I don't know. I guess I don't know offhand. I don't know the range of Vorpal Blade.
I mean, it doesn't really do any damage unless you're ranking it up, and I would think you would be ranking up your W over Vorpal
Your
Blade.
shield. Yep.
What's the healing? Does
Vorpal
that
Blade.
scale at all, or is it always 4%?
That's scaling based on the amount of life you have.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was Key Strike.
that is key.
Yeah, based on your light.
That is key.
Yeah,
strike.
I'm talking about Vorpal Blade.
Oh no, Vorpal Blades. I think it's
Hold
a
on.
flat 4%. We'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
I'm looking it up right now.
Because one of the things I thought was interesting about Shen is he adds a little bit of extra sustain for the marksman, because they will get the healing on the target affected by Vorpal Blade.
Right, and then you can taunt
So
off of them.
yeah, so that like I thought that
awesome.
was interesting. I'm not
So
I'm
big.
not saying it's the new meta or anything, but that's been one of the things that intrigued me, and it might end up being why you would at least put a couple points early into Vorpal Blade.
Hmm.
The hell is he?
They didn't pull it up yet.
The heal
Dom.
is 6, 10, 14, 18, 22 plus 1.5% of Shen's max HP.
Oh, yeah, Adam was right.
It's 4%. Max heal.
So it is based on your
interesting.
HP.
Yeah. Based on HP plus like a flat amount.
Okay.
And at max rank it's a plus 56 health max with the 4%.
So you'd have to start Runic Shield on him.
Yeah.
Sure,
Does
but you'd be doing that anyway.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't have any mana regen, and there's no reason to have spell thieves. So, all right. I think that's going to do it for this week's podcast. Unless you guys have anything else to add to that conversation, I don't mean to cut you off. All right, we're good. All right, guys, don't forget that each week we will be doing 2 podcasts a week. We'll have another we will be going live again. If you're watching now, tell all your friends we're going live again on Wednesday. Hopefully it'll be a little more smooth than this one went. I'll be changing up how some stuff looks. That's again at 8 o'clock Eastern Time every week at twitch.tv/TForce Podcast. We'll be going live every Monday and Wednesday. The podcast will come out as normal every Wednesday and Friday. Other than that, don't forget to go rate us on iTunes. Go join the T-Force chat. You guys can see it now. We have 140 people in there. I'd like to get up to 200. And if you'd like to buy a T-shirt, that is at tforcepodcast.spreadshirt.com. Other than that, that is the end of this podcast. That's episode 124. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching for our inaugural 2014 live podcast. We love you all, and we love looking at Dom. Hey, baby.
Damn right.
Thanks, guys. We'll see
I
you all
bet you
next
say that
week.
to all the boys with HD cams.
Oh.
I know, right?
See you guys next week.
Good night.
Yeah, if you want to play fan games, it'll be going in the chat. Yeah, we are still live. We're just talking right now. Anyways, it'll be game T-Force game. I'll be posting it here shortly, so it's coming up.